NBC4 News at 11 starts with breaking news.
Now at 11, a day of anti-ICE protests turned violent in downtown L.A. We saw standoffs with police, things thrown at federal agents with tear gas shot back. Even a big dumpster pushed up against the detention center downtown. A few hours later, it was all set on fire. All of this leading up to a citywide tactical alert and some arrests. Today's protest started peacefully with thousands in the street telling ICE to get out of town. Tens of thousands in other cities across the country also protesting. The outrage not going anywhere after the killing of 2 American citizens by federal agents in Minneapolis. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kathy Vara in for Carolyn tonight. A few demonstrators are still out there tonight, but the large majority of the crowd has now gone home. NBC4's Darsha Phillips live with the mayor's message. Darsha.
Yeah, Kathy, we're in Hancock Park right in front of the mayor's house where she spoke about the demonstrations today. As you mentioned, thousands of people marched through the city protesting ICE operations and what has happened in Minnesota. Now, a group of demonstrators in front of the federal detention center did get a bit unruly, and that did lead to some arrests. Gathered in front of the federal detention center in downtown Los Angeles where things escalated. City officials say objects were thrown by demonstrators at federal agents, and a group of protesters moved a dumpster to block a parking garage. Agents deployed tear gas, and soon after, the LAPD issued a dispersal order as protesters blocked traffic on Alameda.
I think the protests are extremely important, but it is equally important for these protests to be peaceful, for vandalism not to take place. That just hurts the city. That does not impact the administration in any kind of way that is going to bring about any type of change.
Friday's demonstration was part of National Ice Out Day, a protest against immigration operations across the country. Mayor Karen Bass says even more people joined the crowd after learning about the arrest of journalist Don Lemon. And when things started to get unruly, a citywide tactical alert was initiated. The mayor says this puts considerable strain on city resources.
I mean, we're already struggling with the police department right now in terms of overtime costs. We are strapped in terms of the hiring and the number of officers that we have. So this just puts an incredible burden on our city. 5
people were arrested for failure to disperse. There were no reports of any injuries to protesters or officers. And as many more demonstrations are expected over the weekend, the mayor urging people to exercise their right to protest peacefully.
If the protest gets violent, that is exactly what I believe this administration wants to see happen, because then don't be surprised if the military re-enters our city.
An LAPD telling me tonight that the citywide tactical alert has been modified to Central Bureau only, so scaled back considerably, and that's because most of the demonstrators have left the area. Reporting live tonight from Hancock Park, I'm Darsha Phillips, NBC4 News.
Darsha, thank you. And as business owners closed their doors as part of a nationwide protest against ICE, some small businesses stayed open to support the very same cause. Over in Tustin, several stores donating some or all of today's proceeds to the Orange County Rapid Response Network. This is a nonprofit which helps immigrant communities that are impacted by ICE operations. One coffee shop owner expects to have raised at least $5,000 for the cause, and there are more protests planned for tomorrow all across Southern California. New at 11, a search is underway for a hit-and-run driver who killed a 75-year-old woman in Pacoima. This is video of the scene tonight on Van Nuys Boulevard near Borden Avenue. The woman was hit just before 6 p.m. as she was walking outside of a crosswalk. Police don't have a description of the vehicle that hit her. And now to our continuing coverage of the arrest of former CNN anchor Don Lemon. He is facing federal civil rights charges covering a protest at a church in Minnesota. He was arrested in L.A. and was released this afternoon. NBC4's Macy Jenkins joins us now live in our newsroom with the very latest on the case and also some remarks from Lemon himself tonight. Macy.
Well, Kathy, we are hearing from journalist Don Lemon after appearing in a federal courtroom this afternoon. He was arrested last night and is accused of conspiracy conspiracy against the right of religious freedom over his news coverage of an anti-ICE protest in a Minnesota church. But the former CNN anchor says he was exercising his First Amendment right as a member of the free press and will not back down.
This shows you just how divided America is.
This is the moment in a Minnesota church at the center of federal civil rights charges against former CNN anchor turned independent journalist Don Lemon.
Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news.
Lemon walked out of a federal court in downtown L.A. Friday after a magistrate judge ordered him released on bond. A newly unsealed criminal indictment accuses him of conspiracy against the right of religious freedom and violating a federal law that prohibits people from interfering with the right to attend religious services. Lemon's attorney calls the move an unprecedented attack on the First Amendment.
I will not be silenced.
The indictment alleges Lemon was not just an observer at the January 8th church service in St. Paul, but an active participant who tried to intimidate and oppress the pastor. In Lemon's live stream inside, you can see him interviewing parishioners and a pastor who asks him to leave.
We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave.
Lemon identified himself as a journalist multiple times.
I'm just chronicling. I'm not with the group. I'm a journalist. They're activists.
Lemon has been critical of the Trump administration, most recently over ICE operations in Minneapolis. Attorney General Pam Bondi speaking out in a video on Friday.
Make no mistake. Under President Trump's leadership and this administration, you have the right to worship freely and safely. And if I haven't been clear already, if you violate that sacred right, we are coming after you.
L.A. Mayor Karen Bass, one of many voices condemning Lemon's arrest.
He should not have been in court anyway. How far is this going to go? We have to draw the line in the sand and say we will not allow for the dismantling of our democracy.
Lemon's attorney says Don has been a journalist for 30 years, and his constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he has always done. Tonight on his YouTube show, Lemon told viewers he looks forward to his day in court.
Prosecutors unsuccessfully tried to bring charges against Lemon a week ago and were overruled by two different judges. Now, their request for the L.A. judge to keep Lemon locked up today was denied. Three others, including a news producer, were also charged in the indictment. Lemon has been ordered to appear in court in Minnesota on February 6th. Reporting live in the newsroom tonight, Macy Jenkins, NBC4 News.
Macy, thank you so much. The White House celebrated Lemon's arrest, calling the church protest a riot. The official White House X page posting this picture along with the caption, "When life gives you lemons." President Trump campaigned on an independent justice system, accusing the Biden administration of weaponizing the DOJ. He also promised to be a free speech president, protecting the First Amendment for everyone. Democrats, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, criticizing the president, saying the arrest is not just about one journalist. It's a message to all to stay silent. For more on Don Lemon's arrest, his implications moving forward, as well as court sketches and his comments after walking out, go to NBCLA.com or download the NBCLA app. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill today, the U.S. Senate has approved a bill to fund most of the government through the end of September, except for the Department of Homeland Security. If passed by the House, DHS will be funded on a short basis for just 2 weeks, while lawmakers negotiate immigration enforcement reform after the shooting deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy by immigration agents. Today, President Trump called Preddy an agitator and perhaps an insurrectionist. Well, millions of news of Jeffrey Epstein are now public. NBC4's Ryan Nobles has more on the documents, which include the names of rich and powerful people now linked to the sex offender through his emails.
Tonight, the Department of Justice